All right, the East Troy Area Emergency Services District, the final numbers will come in tomorrow. I can tell you we are a hair under 900 calls. This morning, between 8 o'clock and 10:15, we ran 3 calls, not counting the one that we ran at 3 o'clock this morning. We are running a huge number of calls. I was in McGonigal, the McGonigal ER with my husband and, met the EMS director whose license our East Troy Area Emergency Services District runs under. That doctor, Dr. Mark Schultz, said to me, with the number of calls that you run, I cannot believe you are still a volunteer department. He said it is a tremendous draw on your personnel. We have 4 full-time personnel. To this day, we are down 3 full-time personnel due to COVID within our department. McWanago, Big Bend, Vernon, Elkhorn are also short of personnel. The Mavis is really thin right now. We may be looking at a need to, change our department sooner rather than later because of the number of calls. We have set a record number of fire calls. We have set a record number of EMS calls for the 2nd year in a row. We had over 150 fire calls. In the month of November, we ran 26 fire calls, in addition to 82 EMS. So the numbers are dictating a change perhaps coming in the future, and it might need to come sooner rather than later. Our ladder truck is being serviced. We are doing some of the repairs in-house to cut the initial $42,000 bill down to somewhere around 26. 13,000 of that 26 is being done in-house, and the rest are being out. But by liability reasons, we need to have a ladder truck in a working ladder truck. Our Chief DeGaro is getting accolades from people that I have come across. They're very pleased with the new chief. I can tell you that he is working as hard to find ways for the department to make money as he sees the need to spend to make, to bring us into the current year of service. One of the thoughts that, Chief DeGaro is working on is that the East Troy Area Emergency Services District Firehouse will become a COVID testing site as soon as we have the personnel to do that. We were hoping to be up and running this week. We don't have the personnel to run the calls without relying on volunteers, so we can't be COVID testing when we need the people to run calls.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that'd be tough.
But we were approached by the Department of Health and Human Services. They asked us to be a COVID testing site. We have the potential to make $2,000 a day, with being a COVID testing site. We are looking at keeping the ambulance that is supposed to be up for replacement in 2025 to use as an ambulance that could be contracted service for places like Alpine Valley. Alpine Valley hasn't had the draw on the department that it did last year because weather conditions haven't allowed the ski hill to function as it would like to be. It's either been too cold, too windy, not enough snow, whatever the reason. Our calls to Alpine are minimal, but they are coming. The Alpine asked us if we had another ambulance, could they contract with us to service their ski hill? at the same time, if we had that ambulance, we might be able to put an ambulance contracted at the concerts. We might be able to be at the ETBT, if not, contracted for pay. It is a community service that might enhance the community versus, waiting to be called for a emergency.
So this being all through our, I'm sorry, to be all through our department, but then we're lacking in personnel, and is that,
We're lacking in personnel only because of COVID right now,
you know,
but our personnel numbers are at the highest they've been in years.
because we're looking to hire 3 more, how many full-time are we looking at having, and
Another, I think it's 2.
another 2, so we,
Yeah,
6 total?
6.
6 total?
As of January 1st, our 4 full-time EMS people and Chief DeGaro became employees of the Village of East Troy, with a cost that will be, will pay the administrative costs through the district. But through the Village of East Troy, our people have, participate in WRS, the Wisconsin State Retirement System, and have better insurance, which is local, instead of the insurance that we had limited the use up here of, medical facilities because our provider was in Illinois. So this, in essence, will save us money eventually. It may not save us money right now, but it will save us money eventually, and we are hiring people at a pay rate that is, equivalent to our neighbors, and yet it reflects the fact that we recognize the quality of people that we have working for us in order to retain, because retention is the biggest problem right now in the fire and EMS service.
Barb, did you say the volunteer numbers are up too?
Yes, we are putting 6 people into Gateway, 2 in the firefighter 1, 2 in firefighter 2, 2 in EMT basic, and 1 in EMT advanced. They all start this month. Chief DeGaro provided the board with a list of all current members with their start dates and, their current status, so that we have a accurate and timely, way of looking at membership numbers instead of being told, superficial. So, there are lots of things that Chief DeGaro is doing that have really brought the department up. I've received, many kudos from Dr. Mark Schultz at, Waukesha Memorial, who said, that was the best thing that we could do to start improving the department.
I was working with the town of Palmyra about 10 years ago. They had a volunteer fire department. The village of Palmyra decided they were gonna open a full-blown fire department themselves and back out of the volunteer portion of it. And then the town, needing to provide fire protection services,
Contractor.
well, they were kinda at the whim of the village, because they had no other real viable options
Right.
to pay the
Provide
amount the village
services.
wanted.
Right.
And I'm wondering, by putting these people on the village payroll, if we're somehow facilitating a move of that nature at some point.
At some point, we have to look at being more of a municipal department and not rely strictly on volunteers. And I'm
payroll
saying
is
that
administrative, I mean, we don't have.
It is money coming from the district. The Village of East Troy is facilitating the payroll,
Right.
but the money is coming from the district.
So they're
Well,
not
and-
employees of the village, they're employees of the district.
They're employees of the district
Administered by the village.
administered by the village.
The same way the library will be.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct,
The paid people.
Mhm.
correct.
I just have to say, with my personal ambulance use in the last few months, that I have heard very good things from Quantico, Waterford, and our own about Chief DeGarle.
I
Very
can't,
positive.
yeah, the number of positives that I have gotten about having gone to a full-time chief. Our chief is working 60 to 80 hours a week. Right now, he is running all of the EMS calls that he can to cover for people that are out sick. I'm afraid of burning him out, and he's only been on the job since October. As a full-time chief. He was with our department back in 2018, but as a full-time chief, he was put in that position in October. But he is doing tremendous amount of things. He's made contact with the, high school to start the, fire explorers, to start cultivating people's interest in the fire service or the EMS service at a high school age to get them interested in being members of our department.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good. Thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, park committee report.
Nothing for.
Park report. Bruce Lake Memorial Park report, yeah.
Not a whole lot to report, just had to make a couple purchases with, for some equipment. We do have the Centennial coming up, so we're still planning that stuff and getting some bands together and organization, but nothing more of that.
Okay, very good. I'd like to do a manager district report. Greg, anything to report?
We haven't really met since the last board meeting, and our scheduled January 18th meeting has been postponed until later.
Okay.
I do have some information on the Lake Beulah Hotel.
Yes.
Court case. The ruling scheduled for January 6th was postponed, and it will take place sometime mid-March. I'm not sure a definite date has been established.
Can I ask you, Greg, why it was postponed, or don't you know that?
I think it was, I'm getting this secondhand now.
Just curious.
I think it was an attorney's request.
I think on CCAP it might have March date on there. For some reason,
March 17th, I've heard.
I thought I remember seeing something.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you, Greg. All right, I don't see John.
John called me.
Okay,
John and Christina are unable to attend tonight due to a conflict, so they will be here next month.
We haven't done anything with recycling. So,
nothing going on there. Okay, communications committee report. Michelle.
I know last month you asked for kind of like an update on the plan for the communications committee. I made copies for everyone. On the black and white side, you'll see, I think it should be a team of 5. On the back side of that, it's 2-sided copy. As opposed to kind of like hand-picking people, I am proposing that we post, looking for volunteers, at different locations, the town website, maybe the Informed Citizens page, and Frank's Piggly Wiggly, things like that. Email, electronically send you this. I wanted to have everyone see it before I electronically send it, yep. So I drafted kind of what I wanted to put out there, that we're looking for communication, the communications committee is being formed. What are the goals? To update the Town of East Troy website, live stream monthly town board meetings, pilot a spring newsletter or questionnaire, and select potential Town of East Troy social media presence. What will you do? Monthly committee meetings, gather and share input, propose and implement real changes and partner with the town board members and personnel to implement those new tools and activities. And then I just put it's an unpaid volunteer activity, we're looking for 5 people, if you're interested, let me know by the end of the month.
My suggestion is not to post anything town related on the Informed Citizens page.
Okay.
Just because that's a page that is not run by the town and it's more of an opinion, or can be more of an opinion place, and
What about the Town of East Troy Police Department Facebook page?
I'm assuming there's no outside input on that page.
Well,
I know you're just trying to reach as many people as
Right.
people
possible.
can comment
Right.
on it.
So maybe John can get his YouTube video out to the masses. I just think that I don't want there to be any confusion out there whether or not our use of that Facebook page is somehow then a town-sponsored page, when there's so much information out there that
Right.
certainly I don't think the town board would
Right,
endorse as a board. That's my only concern.
okay.
On the backside,
Yeah.
we have updated website, it's not really been on ARPA, because we already budgeted the 5,000.
Well, yeah, as the 5,000, but if we wanted to go bigger or do other things.
So we'd have to, well, that'd be a recommendation for next year, it would be this year, because we already budgeted for this year. The fact, what I'm getting at is 5,000 to have Town Web go from the version we have now to their better version. I don't know if it's called their best version or not, but their better version, that's already been appropriated in budget there, okay? The question of whether or not we would backfill our budget with our, but that's real, yeah, it could be, but but we're not depending on that.
Okay.
I mean, it's already approved, so we're gonna do it, so I would take that part off of there.
And then this side obviously is
So you-
turn off to us only.
Yeah,
Right, so you're saying you can't use ARPA funds for that?
oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure we
Well,
can,
If
we're gonna find out.
If we're backfilling our budget and we decided, when we could
Well,
actually
that's what I
decide to do that, even this year.
But you're saying, yeah, on the January 24th meeting, if we found out we could use an extra 20,000,
Oh,
you're
that's
saying we
what you're
can't
saying.
use that
That's what I was
until
thinking.
2023?
That's called backfilling, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, we can do that, sure. And that's the questions we're gonna ask there, because first of all, it is probably a legitimate use, but.
Or the equipment would be a
Oh,
legitimate
yeah,
use
that's on
for
there
the live
too.
streaming, yeah.
Yep, that's on there too. So, what you're saying is, we have a potential here, not necessarily only for next year, but this year, of even elevating that.
Right.
If your committee decides that is a better option.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Or at least listen to the ideas that
Yeah.
Right.
propose, and, you know.
Right.
Now, the other thing too, you're looking for 5, what if we get 50?
Including me.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
How do you
Well-
kick them in?
Well, then maybe, I don't know, for sure, it's first come, first served, but, I guess I'm not too concerned about
Okay, yeah, I understand,
overwhelming
so we'll see
response.
what happens there.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Um,
then,
Yeah, so these are the, the potential use of social media, again, outward facing only. And I do wanna get a spring newsletter if possible, in the Good Neighbors. And my idea with the committee was really to use that as a questionnaire. Like, how, what media would you be interested in, do you want something mailed to your home, how frequently, those kind of things, that, I think that's one thing that the ad hoc committee missed, was actually outreaching, because, and that was one of the big things that was talked about as far as the mission vision logo too, is that committee didn't represent like all demographics of the town. So, when we say, oh, it'd be great to have an improved website, well, what about the demographic that doesn't use a computer? So there are people in the town that don't use a computer, or maybe don't have access unless they go to the library or things like that. So, that's one thing, I think, like, trying to make it not only newsletter, but questionnaire, interface.
That's why I think that's a good, you've got the website and the, Good Neighbor piggybacking, because you've got something in print and you've got something online,
Right,
so.
right.
Well, maybe we can have a newsletter that also goes out and answers
And the
do.
Good Neighbors is twice a year.
Right.
So,
You know, we voted not to do the good neighbor, we voted not to do the good neighbor every time when you did it. But we actually looked at other options, so the timing of those good
the
neighbor
spring one
inserts
versus the fall.
really impacted by
And the
it.
bulk mailing, and that's what we budgeted for, was like $1,200 mailing.
I don't think we budgeted.
No, the one, the price
No.
you gave us.
No, the Good Neighbors was only like $300.
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
budget a bulk mailing.
I thought
A
you
bulk,
gave
a
us.
bulk mailing would cost like $2,500.
Okay,
Whereas in Good Neighbors, you could do an insert,
Right.
and that was only like $300.
Yeah.
300 or whatever it was.
Which does get mailed to everybody, so it's like doing it.
Not only just the town, but some of the village.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like doing that direct mailing.
okay, so, by putting this out there, and, we'll be getting, volunteers, okay? So we're gonna put it on our own website.
Yep.
Correct?
Mhm.
Where else do we say we're gonna put this?
So Kim, where are your normal postings for meetings? You have 3 postings, right?
Yeah, here, the firehouse and then the boat launch.
And then I was, thinking I could also stop at the library and Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah, you said for me. What about coordinating with the school?
Think they have anything in their entryways or anything?
Okay.
The hardware store is another
Oh,
one.
yeah.
Olive Garden.
I know the
Designing
banks-
that.
The bank,
Some of the
yeah.
banks have
Yeah.
posted there. I know that one,
So this
John
week,
Murphy.
hand.
yeah, when John Murphy posts the e-cycle, I usually do 6 or 7 posters for him. And he does banks, post office,
Okay.
grocery store, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, and obviously I'll have to get it out right away by January 31st. Yeah,
Before our next meeting.
right.
Now, we're gonna move our next meeting, so you got a little more time, but not much. Okay, alright, so you have a plan, get a committee together, and then we'll have to change our resolution to change our ad hoc to a standing committee. We're gonna do that.
Did we do that? Because
No.
we put the communications committee on the regular agenda in place of,
Oh, no, that's agenda, the resolution, the last one we did was last September. Okay, and now, we can do a resolution anytime for that, okay? So, but the only change right now would be probably getting rid of the East Shore ad hoc and changing the communications ad hoc to a standing committee. No changes on the plan commission that you know of, anybody retire at the last meeting or
No.
resign?
Everybody's okay.
No, there's nothing there. I think everything else is still the same. Everybody.
So we can make a motion for this?
we only changed it in the agenda, we didn't change it in the
You have to do a resolution.
resolution.
It was changed.
Yeah, we got rid of the airport
Got rid of the airport committee
and
and,
replaced it with the communications committee.
or added the communication.
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
That's all.
Oh, it still said ad hoc?
Yes, that's why we're gonna change it. But indeed, since that work is done, you're still recording on it, so it's fine to be posted that way, but eventually we'll have to change the resolution to get the new names on here.
You could maybe check with the, East Troy and Mukwonago Chambers of Commerce. I know that if you become a member, you can pay like a nominal amount and it will go into, their mailings and publications. They have inserts too. Oh, that is the East Troy
Yeah.
Chamber.
Yeah.
Cause I know Mukwonago does something with their chamber like that too.
We didn't budget for, chamber dues.
Okay.
But they also allow you to put in.
Yeah,
some-
Pete's question could be appropriate, that we do have a motion to go ahead and
One more.
post this as you presented it, looks good. So, I'll make that
Any
motion,
edits?
that, authorize, Michelle Reyes to distribute, the communications committee, what we're gonna call it,
Flyer.
what is it?
Sign up.
Sign up. Okay, yep, let's do it.
Second.
Okay, Rob second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I,
Aye, opposed? None. Okay, thank you very much. Plan commission report.